Deerfield High School, the site once again for East Penn Conference basketball action. Our D11sports.com game of the week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser with you from Deerfield High School. We expect a great matchup between these two teams. First meeting went to the Allen Canaries handily, 95-67. However, that was 40-40 at the half. Things got out of hand, and the defense stepped up for the Allen Canaries, led to some turnovers, and went from there. First things first, as we start this, a great tribute to Kobe Bryant, daughter Gianna, as the players for Deerfield Huskies come out with 8 on the front, 24 on the back, and on the bench they also have, her number, and also, some flowers there as well. A great tribute. Joe Jarjuice does a great job with his team, really, everybody's been talking about Kobe and the tragic event, and, we start with that.
Yeah, very classy move by Coach Jarjuice, as you said, Al. He's always looking to do different things in the community and get his players involved. Most programs are finding their own way to honor Kobe because it's such a part of the basketball community, and they've done an outstanding job, as you pointed out, with the jerseys and their tributes.
As far as the game is concerned, Allen Canaries are 12-2, 16-4 overall. Doug Snyder in his 23rd year. They're coming off a win against Reading, 64-59. They've won 4 out of the last 5. Q Adderley, senior forward.
Adderley is just a load inside. He imposes his will. He can handle it. He can shoot it. He's just tough to keep off the glass. He seems like he's been playing varsity basketball for 4 or 5 years, and he's just going to be a horse inside for Deerfield to handle, with 14 points and 9 rebounds are his stat lines.
As far as the Deerfield Huskies, 4-10, 8-11 for head coach Joe Jarjuice in his 6th year. They lost to Bethlehem Catholic 67-64. 3 straight losses, and that's a bad loss for them. That game that went down to the wire, they had the opportunity. This is the playoff game for them going in. Isaiah Jeter, one of their go-to players.
Yeah, Jeter's their best shooter from the outside with 29 made threes, almost 2 per game. So Coach Snyder's going to have to worry about where Jeter is for Deerfield. As you mentioned, tough loss the other night to Becca. We'll get into that a little more, but they need to win all 3 of their remaining games to qualify for district, so this would almost seem to be a play-in game for the Huskies.
So you're watching our D11sports.com game of the week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Back with more action in the opening tip when we return right after this.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
We are back, and joining us is Peter Capote. Peter Capote is senior at Allen High School. He's talked to both coaches. Peter? Let's come back to us, and we'll go back down to Peter in a second once we get him back and established. Right now, 4:42 before the opening tip between these two teams. And as he's getting settled in and getting that microphone ready to go at the same time, we were talking about, the games, the way they've been going. Let's take a look first at the keys. Doug Snyder, mentioned obviously wants to execute against the Deerfield defenses.
Yeah, so Coach Jarjuice giving up 93 the first time these two teams played. Can't allow that to happen, so needs to slow the pace down, and Allen's going to have to execute against that Deerfield changing defenses of Jarjuice.
And for the Deerfield Huskies, one thing is setting the tempo. He's talking about getting the games in the 40s and low 50s. Very hard to believe that could possibly happen.
Well, that's going to be up to the discipline and how much his players are going to stick to the game plan. It's easy to say we'd like to do that, but you're in a rivalry game. These players all know each other. They play on the same courts as each other all summer long. It's going to be very hard to see if these Deerfield Huskies can stand out there and be very patient on every possession, almost in a stall ball mode to slow the tempo down.
These guys really know each other. They're at half court right now. They're talking things over at the same time. And, I continue to say that, and I always say it. Doug Snyder, to me, in all the years I've been part of, the broadcasting field, is one of the finest coaches to talk to, one of the best coaches out there. He does things for his players that a lot of people don't even know, and I can only speak with the highest regard to, Coach Snyder. On the other side, for Joe Jarjuice, what he does with this program and, getting him out in the community and doing the different things he does, I think the same way as him. He's only been here 6 years, but, he really believes in all these players as they move forward.
Well, let's be honest, it's not easy to teach and or coach in the Allentown School District. And Doug Snyder, obviously anybody who's been around the Valley and knows his credentials knows that he's a Hall of Famer just based on his on-court resume. And you take into account what he does for these student athletes. He's a mentor and a father figure to many of them, and that sets him in a class of his own.
All right, with that, let's go down to Peter Kubota. We have him once again. Peter?
A key EPC steel matchup between the William Allen Canaries and the Lewis D Huskies. Allen comes into this game as tied for first in the EPC steel and the EPC, impressing coach Doug Schneider, whose team is currently the defending district champions. For Deerhoff, it's a win or go home game. This is their first game all year that they will have all key starters on for a game. As Coach Jordarius said just before the game, their goal is to limit Allen's possession of the ball and try to keep their big three in check. Back to you.
All right, Peter, great job down there. We changed Joe Jarjuice's name to, I don't know what, Jarius, but Joe would like that at the same time. Peter does a great job with us. We had him during the football season as well, and we get him ready to go, But, I'll start calling Joe a different name. But, obviously when you talk to both coaches, we love what our student reporters are doing. We love having Peter back on the floor at the same time. And, for us at D-11 Sports, now up to 40 student reporters in 19 schools, we're excited with what our program's at.
Well, that's what it's all about, getting more student reporters out there, and they're learning on the job. And, one day he's going to look back and he's going to remember that he may have called Joe Jarjuice by a different name, and that's going to help him down the road. But he did a great job out there, as all our student reporters do. We're up from 30 when we started the basketball season, and we're up to 40 now. The number's going to continue to grow, and it's just a great program that we're involved here with D-11 Sports.
And again, if you're just joining us, you see the great tribute that Joe Jarjuice and his team did. 8 on the front, 24 on the back. The flowers for Gianna, and they're honoring Kobe as well. Just a great job and well done for the Deerhoff Huskies. And with that, we get ready to bring in the starting lines for both teams. One thing, when these two teams met the first time around, and we talked to Coach, I said, Coach, what happened? I was talking to Doug Snyder. I said, what happened there? First of all, we'll get the lineups first, and then we'll get back to my thought. But, Ellis, a sophomore guard. Copeland, a junior guard. Azuna, a 5'10" junior guard. Quentin Stewart, a 6'5" senior forward. And Q Adderley, we mentioned it on the open, a 6'3" senior forward for the Deerhoff Huskies. They'll bring in their lineup. They'll go with Tucker, a 5'9" senior guard.
Good afternoon,
Divine Hayes, a 6'2" senior forward. Isaiah Jeter, a 5'11" senior guard. Daniel Quinones, a 5'11" sophomore guard. And George Gibbs, a 6'5" junior center, the starting 5. Now, I was getting in my thought, being at the game, 40-40 at the half, he said, Al, he said it to me. He goes, Al, it was 40-40, because I said, you put up like 95 points. Pretty impressive. But at the same time, it was the second half, the defense, and they're playing. Coach Snyder, hey, how's your year? Couldn't be happier the way the season's going right now.
Well, they certainly have the horses to get out and run, and that's how you put 95 on the board in a high school game. You do not see that very often. And you mentioned a few minutes ago, creating turnovers with your pressure, running, shooting. Normally an Achilles heel of Allen is their shooting, but this year they have some absolute snipers out there, especially with Nate Ellis, the sophomore. So, you certainly can't just sit in a zone and focus on the inside players that they have. Do want to mention this is the 149th meeting between Allen and Deerhoff. These stats supplied by the legendary scorekeeper for Deerhoff, Roy Orlado, and the 129th game of that 149 now that Roy Orlado has covered. So that would, if you do simple math and you go about 2 a year, that's about 65 years of covering Allen Deerhoff games for Roy Orlado. That's incredible.
That's unbelievable. And, he's sitting right in front of us here, and, you can't give him so much credit. That book that he has there, that we've seen, is not paying his taxes. He's got some going on there with a lot of information.
I think that book is from 1974. To finish up on those numbers, Allen leads the all-time series 84-64, including 11 straight. The last Deerf win coming into 2013-2014 season. Coach Georgiou is going to hope to turn and flip that around here today.
Last win was 2013-14?
Correct.
Wow. So we get ready for this matchup. And again, you talk about the speed, the velocity, and that's obviously the hugest concern for Joe Georgiou. You are at home. You're not playing at Allen, but that all said, a nice crowd, a Saturday afternoon. We'll see. I mean, and Deerf, coming to this game is excited. One thing that we have to mention, Isaiah Jeter, it's senior day. So senior day, the seniors that were on, were Tucker and Isaiah Taylor, Divine Hayes, Ralph Elias, and Isaiah Jeter. Isaiah Jeter was escorted by Mel Copeland and Josh Carrion of Allen. You don't usually see that out there, one being his cousin.
You definitely do not normally see that, and Dave Stout, athletic director here at Deerf, pointed it out. Pretty classy when you have rivals and someone you're going to go to battle with in about 10 minutes, and you're escorting that player out onto the floor. So just shows you what respect that these two teams have for each other, and it's great to see.
Well, they're just about ready to tip here from Deerf High School. And want to thank Dave Stout for having us here, his hospitality, right here on the, I don't know, what do you call this, a terrace? What do you call this? Before floor level? What do you call it?
Mezzanine.
Both the Allen and Deerf
Let's listen in.
basketball teams will have a picture taken at center court. We are one city with two great high schools.
That's great to see, no doubt about it. When you mentioned that, not only they come out, now they're standing side by side of one another as well.
Incredible, and that comes from the leadership, the coaches. You see some administrative personnel out on the floor from both schools, principals, administrative leaders from both schools here, and the coaches and the respect that they have for each other makes an event like that happen.
That's impressive. I'm just like, it's impressive. They're coming together. That's a great job by, Dave Stout and Allen and Deerf for making that happen.
Yeah, not sure I've ever seen that before, to be honest.
You and I don't even get that close for a picture. And we sit with each other. We are underway, opening tip, and here we go. Allen Canaries take the tip, and we're underway from Deerf High School, controlled there by Ellis. Ellis is a dagger from three-point range, has 44 in the year, and that said, we'll go from the outside on the corner shot by Manny Azuna, can't convert.
Okay, so Deerf came out in the zone, which Ellis is going to have his eyes light up, and we will see how Allen attacks that zone.
Driving in the lane. Boy, I see that number one, and I think of Anthony Ross, who played here at Deerf High School, seeing Anthony Ross, number one on there. Nice play inside. They battle hard off the boards, and second effort is good for Q Stewart.
Stewart does a great job getting off his feet, a second jump, and easy putback. Deerf's going to have to get on the glass.
Two 2-0 your score here early on in the contest. And about 17 feet out, will not drop for Jeter, and will come the other way. Again, the tempo, the fast pace by the Canaries. They get open. How about that quick pass? Q Adelaide goes down, however, and could be a walk here. Keep play continuing. And driving off the window and scoring is Divine Hayes.
Hayes just soaring through the air right there, exploding off his feet and very high up for the finish.
They're getting wide open looks on the outside, then driving and spinning, but not scoring. And then look who's there for the rebound is Q Adderley off the miss.
Well, that's what makes this Allen team just so difficult to defend. As you mentioned, guys open on the perimeter all over the place, and then you have to box out Adderley and Stewart, and they've each collected an offensive rebound and a putback for their early 4 points.
4-2 your score. That shot off the mark. Could lead to an outlet, but a turnover goes right in the hands of Divine Hayes.
So Coach Georgiou gave the start to 20 Ralph Elias, the senior, here on senior day, and he's had his starting center, 35 George Gibbs, at the scorer's table for over a minute now, and he cannot get a whistle.
Driving through in the lane, trying to get a foul as well, does not, but Manny Ozuna's on the scoreboard.
Ozuna just flying down the floor. Excellent speed. Coach Georgiou mentioned your first question is, what are you worried about? And he said their speed, and you saw it right there from Ozuna.
So they're going to try to take as much time if they can to set up their play. We know how that goes. Here's a three from downtown. Dropping it home is Isaiah Taylor, his 11th three-pointer of the year.
That was almost like an NBA set right there. You get a high ball screen, you get a dribble penetration and a pop instead of a roll. You know, in the NBA now anymore, these guys don't roll to the basket. They all pop out and shoot threes, and that's what Taylor did right there.
Well, Adderley goes inside out, but the three won't drop. Leads to a pass on the other end. They can't convert, but the pickup duty is there for Taylor.
So Taylor making a couple plays in the early going, wisely following that one up.
Deeriff on top momentarily after the basket by Q Adderley. He's got 4.
Adderley just throws it up there knowing he's going to get his rebound. He reminds me of Charles Barkley. I mean, honestly, he just threw that up there knowing he's going to get off his feet and go grab it and put it back in.
Okay, so you're talking about the speed and the tempo right now. There's not been a break in the action to get Gibbs in there. Coach Snyder seeing that in the side, saying we got to keep going here and play. And he'll get it here.
They will get it. So our first whistle 4 minutes in, the way that Allen wants to run. You don't see that very often. 4 minutes, we get a look at the replay here of Taylor on the follow.
So Gibbs checks in again and gives you 7 and 6, along some block shots and some size at 6'5".
And 3 offensive rebound baskets already for the Canaries. So Coach Georgiou and the staff going to be telling Gibbs, you get on the glass.
Jumper will not drop. Then the turnover, that goes right into the hands of Copeland. Copeland kicks it outside. This is a 3 if it goes, and it does. Oh, they're going to call it a 2. I thought that was a 3. I thought his line was behind. That's Ellis.
Great job spotting up by Ellis. Must have had just a hair on the line, but nonetheless, the Canaries will take it.
I'm not so sure about that one. Here's Copeland. And Copeland brings down the house.
Well, and that's impressive from a guard listed at 5'10". You don't see that every day.
Yeah, you know, when I used to do that, people used to wonder how.
I was just going to ask. I've seen video of you doing it now. The problem is it was on a 9-foot rim. We play regulation at 10-foot rims.
Listen, 7.5-foot rim. That's what it was. All right, let's get that straight. 12-7 off the baseline, knocking it home, and Gibbs on the scoreboard.
And here we go. I thought Coach Georgiou said that we were going to take some air out and play a little slowdown action. We're 12-9, 5 minutes in.
Adderley battling and gives it up. And it remains.
Number 5, Josh Carrion in for Allen.
Deeriff man-to-man here on the out-of-bounds set.
Nice drive inside to Quentin Stewart.
Quentin Stewart scores.
5 options on the floor for Allen makes it very difficult for anybody to defend.
.212 on the clock. Driving through another turnover. 2-on-2 the other way and try to skip through the legs. It's Deeriff basketball.
And the Deeriff staff calling for a hand check out front. A little impediment there of Mr. Taylor on the drive probably caused the turnover. We'll keep an eye on that moving forward.
That one knocked away. Here's a 3. That one doesn't go. Rebound goes to the Canaries and Stewart, and we'll come the other way. A quick moving first half. Adderley over to Carry On. This is where Adderley can be dangerous with the ball on the baseline. And a 3 for Ellis. Ellis still looking to convert. Thought he had it earlier. Gave him a 2. 14-9 it remains. One lead by the Huskies. It came at 7-6. That one knocked away. How about Ellis? Again. Does he want to flip this one back? No, goes in with the other hand.
Quickness personified right there. Digging in. Clean swipe, and then the deuce.
16-9, up to a 7-point advantage. Biggest lead of the game here for the Canaries.
We're going to get a moving screen on Gibbs here, 35. Got to get your feet set and not move.
So a minute on the clock, 16-9 your score. $15-footer. That one doesn't go. Ball loose. Here come the Huskies. Have some numbers coming the other way. Gibbs driving, dishing, and no finish. They'll get it right back. Those are the ones that haunt you as a head coach, but they'll get the 2 points anyway. Devine Hayes.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You're lucky if you're Taylor that you got that basket back, because you need every bucket in a game like this. And, yeah, you want to energize the crowd with a made dunk, but the 2 is more important. And it was a great pass by Gibbs to set it all up.
Final 30 ticks, 16-11. Coach Schneider opting for a shot here at the end.
See if he gets a little high ball screen action for Ellis, or if he's just going to let Nate create a play on his own.
Now down to 7 on the clock. Driving through, the dish underneath, count it. And they get the basket by Quentin Stewart, who finishes with 6 points in the quarter. So 1 quarter complete, and it's a 7-point game. Allen leads 18-11. Back after this, you're watching our D11sports.com Game of the Week, presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine.
Concussions are serious. 3 million sport, recreation, and auto accident-related concussions happen each year. 20% of high school athletes who play contact sports will suffer a concussion during the season. St. Luke's is the region's leader in assessing, managing, and treating concussions in athletes and non-athletes of all ages. Our multi-specialty teams of experts collaborate to care for you using the latest treatment options. Don't play head games, take concussion seriously. Call St. Luke's to schedule an appointment with one of our concussion experts.
We are back 18-11 after 1. And Tom, your thoughts?
Well, Allen getting out and running with their transition, turnovers, pressure. They're just so well balanced. You can't key on anybody. That play at the end of the first quarter right there, Nate Ellis, so difficult to guard, and he drops a dime down to Quentin Stewart. Just very impressed with Allen. But Derek played a good quarter, and we still have a game.
You know, we have Peter Capote with us from Allen, and it was interesting because the first basket by Allen, and he was applauding. And I looked back, I said, not today you can. He goes, you know, you're teaching them that they're student reporters. Yes, they have, you know,
loyalty,
but at the same time, we got to be a little more professional here. And to a point, you know, if you're back there and you're doing the wave, we got a problem. But other than that, great to have him on board. We always say that.
Yeah, rule number 1 of journalism, you got to be unbiased, but
hard to be when you're a student reporter.
Fair point.
Trying to get that to Adderley. No on the turnover. Wow, that's a wide receiver if I ever saw one right there on the pass play. Clearing traffic. A great catch by Devon Hayes, the senior.
Yeah, Hayes has made a couple of athletic plays out there. You're right. He looks like a skill position player on the gridiron and kept that play alive. Deriff has some athleticism out there, just running up against a very well put together Allen team.
Gibbs at 57% from the free throw line.
Number 11, Eli Vigo in for William Allen.
And I was still baffled when I talked to Coach Snyder, and I said, you know, you put up in the 90s. I said, well, you know, what happened? He goes, well, it's 40-40 out at the half. And he talked about it, too. He's not really concerned, I guess, to a point. Again, if you're down, it's different. Not really concerned to score at the half. He wants his team in the second half and, you know, finish the game up.
Well, and Doug Snyder's been at this a long time at Allen High School, but he knows how to coach his players. And some coaches, you're on every mistake that your players make, but with Doug Snyder here and his staff, they do a great job of just letting the players make plays, and they're going to make mistakes early. And he's just going to trust them over the long haul to have the process win out.
Well, right now, a couple turnovers by Allen, and just like that, it's 18-15 after the basket by Dan Quinones.
Yeah, good burst here in the first minute out of the timeout, out of the quarter timeout by the Huskies. We get a look at that turnover by Allen and the push ahead, and Quinones finishing.
(18-15). That one knocked away. Great chance here for the Huskies. In the lane, not getting the roll. Boy, I don't know how that roll didn't happen, but they get a second chance, and that one won't go. And leaping up and keeping it alive was Taylor. Well, there's your extra runner in the lane. How about 5 chances here? Still, they're letting them play. Coach Joe Jarjuice irate, wanting a foul. Instead, we'll go the other way, and there we'll get a walk. And play will continue.
I think bewildered is a good word for Coach Jarjuice right there, wondering how there is no foul inside as Deeriff was getting multiple opportunities. But great athleticism and length, and when Quentin Stewart and or Adderley are on the bench, it just leaves one big inside. That might be rare deficiency in Allen when only one big is in, and Deeriff was exploiting it right there.
2 minutes into quarter number 2. Feet down underneath, that ball slapped away. I thought that was even a reach.
We've only had 4 team fouls called so far here in the first quarter and a third, so.
And you know, I'm watching Taylor, and he's starting to just get a little frustrated at the same time, and that's the last thing you want to happen, because then all of a sudden you're the one causing the foul.
Correct. It's like the old hockey adage: the ref sees the second one, so you get hit, they're not going to call it. They're going to call it when you retaliate.
Oh, they're letting them play for sure, because contact either way. They have 2-on-2 coming. Pass up to Gibbs, can't hold on to it. They battle for it. This is like Ali Frazier.
Rope-a-dope.
They're going at it. That's the second day in a row we've talking boxing.
We did talk it last night.
18-15.
That one has not scored yet in his second quarter.
That is correct, but that all said, Deeriff has only scored 4 points. Driving through.
I was about to say whistles are optional at this point, but we got one right there.
And, Tom, I was just going to ask the same question as my contact decides to do whatever it wants right now. Excuse me. You know, when you get to a point where it stays and gets physical and they're not getting the calls, how frustrating is that for a player? And then how different does your game change if the officiating doesn't change on you?
Well, it's more frustrating for a player than it is a coach. You understand that as a coach, it's going to go back and forth. Some games are going to let you play. Some games are going to call it tight. As a player, you're not thinking about that when you're out there playing. You get hit. You want the call, whether they've called it tight to that point in the game or not. So that's where the mental toughness part comes in. You need to just move on to the next play.
So they missed the free throws. Allen coming the other way. Again, trying to score their first point of the second quarter, and they won't get it there. And we'll get, I believe, over the top on Adderley.
Yeah, Adderley gave a little extra shove inside to try and get position.
149th meeting between these two teams. That one punched out. D-11 goes to the corner. Gibbs for three. And they'll get the foul on Isaiah Taylor.
I think the officials heard the cat calls from the crowd and the benches because we've had a few whistles now in the last minute.
Adderley going three from downtown. No, the rebound goes to Taylor. Well, now if you're thinking the way Coach Joe Jarjuice is thinking, you look at the scoreboard and you're like, well, there's 18 there. That one a little bit way out of the range of Devontae Tucker. Flying through the lane.
And Mr. Tucker is going to find himself a seat after launching from about 30 feet right there. Those aren't the ones that Coach Jarjuice is looking for as Stewart returns, and we go back to double bigs for the Canaries.
Again, midway through the second quarter, Adderley, a nice pass. I don't know how he got it there, but that one's still off the mark. So teams have struggled without question. When's the last time you said Allen hasn't scored in 4.5 minutes?
That probably has not happened much this year, but as you've been in this gym before, it's a little darker. The vision's not as good.
I know it. That one doesn't go. Rebound. The Huskies are controlling the boards, getting second efforts.
Yeah, definitely controlling the glass, and that has not been an issue. They, like Allen, has struggled to make a couple shots here in this quarter. They'd find themselves in the lead, but let's see if Quinones can connect on the free throw line.
2 shots.
He is at 62% for the season, 23 of 37. Misses on the free throw.
Knowing Coach Snyder, one more bad possession here, we may get a timeout from the veteran Allen coach just to draw a couple things up and tell his troops where they're going wrong on the offensive end. Well, let's see.
That's the first free throw in a while, first points in a while. 18-16, 3:30 on the clock. The well is dry here for the Canaries, but they can have damage quickly. They'll call a traveling call. Coach Snyder not pleased on the bench. I mean, he is just staring down with frustration.
It's tough to tell what he's thinking a lot because he doesn't show it very often. I guess when he doesn't have a reaction, you know he's upset.
Driving through the lane. Had the opportunity there, couldn't get it. Here's Adderley going the other way. Q with the pass down underneath on the reverse. And count the basket for Copeland. Opportunity for D-11 on the other side. They stay with it. Good pass. Good job by the Huskies to stay with the basketball and convert to Taylor.
Absolutely. Taylor and Quinones hooking up right there for a basket, and D-11 taking the opportunity to run right there to get their first made basket in a while.
Adderley, no. Rebound. Nowhere to go. 1-on-4. But a good job of making his way out.
That's
George Gibbs got 2.
2 on Gibbs. Let's see if Jarjuice gets him out for the remainder of this first half.
So Stewart has 7. He's at 65% from the free throw line.
Number 12, Isaiah Jeter in for the Huskies.
Adderley gets a well-deserved rest.
Second one, no good. Ball bounced out. It's the big play here for the Huskies. They do maintain possession here with 2:20. See how Coach Jarjuice closes out this half. Does he slow the tempo down or try to anyway? So far, it really hasn't been there. Wow, look at this. Straight in and scoring is Hayes.
That was an impressive straight line drive around his man, through the help. Very great, very impressive individual move by Hayes.
Chance to take the lead for the Huskies for the first time in a while, driving through, and it is Hayes, and he wakes up the crowd. D-11 is up, and a whistle and a foul.
Look at Copeland just fly down the floor. He must be a 4x1 runner in the spring, because he's going coast to coast with the ball as we get a look at the steal there by Hayes. And watch Hayes finish high up on the glass for the finish.
This is on the free throw to Copeland.
Gets one more shot. Number 5, Josh Carrion in for the Canaries.
Now, at the end of the first quarter, you would never think that, what Coach Joe Jarjuice wanted to do is keep it a low scoring. Again, there's a lot that can happen, okay? But if you're looking at the scoreboard now, you're looking up and saying, well, all right, that's where we want to be. Let's see how we close it out.
You're exactly right, Al. If you double the score here, you're in the 40s and 50s, which is where Jarjuice said he needed it to be. And, right, the first 4 minutes, it certainly did not look like it. But it's settled in here like games often do. And he's going to tell his guys that at halftime, look, stay the course. This is what we've worked on in practice here the last couple days, and we're right where we need to be.
So 22-21, Huskies on top. Really patient here on this possession. Thinking about it and draining it. Taylor, second three, 12th of the year.
Isaiah Taylor.
And Taylor will get the rebound. Outlet pass between the legs, off the window, no. Ball dished back outside. The little floater in the lane by Jeter.
Jeter, 2.
Things have changed quickly here with 40 seconds left. Biggest lead of the game for the Huskies is now 6. Driving through, does he skip the feet or does he get fouled? They call a jump ball.
And we're going to stay here on that jump ball called by Mike Peterson. The Huskies riding the wave of momentum here to close out this first half.
Possession arrow, Dura.
Wow, that's a big three for Ellis, his first.
Nate Ellis scores.
So what do you do to answer a run? Your big play, your sophomore leader, crazy to say sophomore leader, but he steps up and buries a big shot.
Now, do you take it one-on-one? Do you kick it out? He's going to take the three from downtown and nail it. Taylor buries the three. Wow. So Taylor buries the three. Wow, to end the half. 30-24, D-11 at the break. We'll come back with more action at D11sports.com. Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
St. Luke's Orthopedic Care. Extraordinary care in motion.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive. Concussions are serious. 3 million sport, recreation, and auto accident-related concussions happen each year. 20% of high school athletes who play contact sports will suffer a concussion during the season. St. Luke's is the region's leader in assessing, managing, and treating concussions in athletes and non-athletes of all ages. Our multi-specialty teams of experts collaborate to care for you using the latest treatment options. Don't play head games, take concussion seriously. Call St. Luke's to schedule an appointment with one of our concussion experts.
Hall of Fame pitcher Steve Carlton knows what it takes to exceed expectations. He knows what it means to be part of a team that rises above the competition. He knows a champion. Steve Carlton knows St. Luke's Orthopedic Care.
Now the band having some fun here. Al DiCarlo, Tom Moser, Dave Micah, D11sports.com with you. And I tell you what, it's been one heck of a first half, Tommy.
Very good first half, and the Huskies find themselves with a 6-point lead. Coach Snyder and staff not pleased walking off the floor to the locker room. That will be addressed, but Coach Georgiou has to like the way his guys have played. Some of his guys have really stepped up. They don't want this to be one of their last games. They want a chance to fight for that District 11 playoff berth, and you're seeing that effort on the floor in the first half.
Yeah, no question about it. And, we watched some of these plays, and, there were some steals, there were some turnovers. This one, going on in and, breaking down the house and making sure that, he got the job done in Copeland. But, for the most part, the first quarter was, in favor of Allen the way they played. They were up 18-11. And then they didn't score for the first 4.5 minutes. And Deerf really didn't score either. But in the last 4 minutes, things really, really changed. And it was really from the play of Isaiah Taylor.
Well, let's face it, the first 5 minutes of the second quarter were not smooth either way. A lot of rough patches and not smooth play. The last 3 minutes, it was a combination of Taylor and Hayes, 1 and 5 for Deerf, making plays. And then, of course, the back-to-back threes to end the half by Taylor, just capping it off and building that 6-point margin.
Now scoring here in the first half, as you take a look at some more highlights, Taylor with the 13, 8 for Hayes, 2 for Jeter, Quiones with 3, and 4 for Gibbs. For Nathan Ellis, he's got 7, 4 for Copeland, 2 for Ozuna, 7 for Stewart, and Adderley sitting there with 4. But those were the threes. And some of these threes by Taylor were from long range. Take a look at this one. I mean, this one was from way up top.
Well, as you see Taylor knocking down those back-to-back threes and a half. So here's what's going to be crucial right now for Deerf. Obviously, you're going to take those 6 points just scored right there by Taylor. You also don't want to be caught in a situation where because we've made a couple, we're going to continue to launch 3 after 3 after 3. Yes, they went in. You also need to stick with your game plan, and that did not include just bombing up threes because nothing gets you back in the game quicker if you're Allen than Deerf launching quick shots and missing and Allen running the other way for layup after layup.
No doubt about it. The tournament will start up soon, in East Bend Conference, and, take a look at, where we stand here right now. And we talked to Coach Snyder, and he talked about Liberty, talked about Central Catholic, who he didn't face. This tournament is going to be, pretty impressive. And you look at the teams that are in there and in the mix. Parkland last night losing to Whitehall. I believe it was by a point. Northampton we'll see on Monday night against Central Catholic, so we'll get a better look at the Vikings as well. You look at that Mountain Division, East Stroudsburg and Pocono Mountain West. Pocono Mountain West always one of those teams that, find themselves in the mix. And then, Freedom, maybe on the outside looking in at this point, when it comes to the league tournament, but a pretty good team, at itself. But, we'll see what Easton and Ben Childs, what they're doing, and Allen and Liberty and, here in the Steel Division. Your thoughts of looking at those standings and what you see?
Well, for the first time in a long time, there is no clear-cut favorite to win the league playoff. Last year, Becca was basically head and shoulders above everybody. Before that, we had Parkland and, of course, Allen with their years in Central in the last 4 or 5 years with some of the stud players that those rosters have had. This year, Liberty and Central Catholic being the 1 and 2 seeds at this point, I don't think anybody would have predicted that in the summer or in the fall or right before the season started. People were talking about Allen, Easton, Parkland, Pocono Mountain West. Now, those teams are all going to be in the mix, but Liberty and Central Catholic athletic, have far exceeded expectations to this point. But it's really anybody who puts 3 good games together over the week of that tournament is going to find themselves lifting the trophy up.
Yeah, no doubt. And you look at Allen, coming off after that loss to Malvern Prep in the hoop group at Parkland High School. They lost 80-77 to a very good team. They battled back and they beat Freedom 76-69, and they beat Reading by a score of 64-59. They'll finish things off with the Deer of Huskies. Excuse me, with the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I'm thinking. I saw Andre Reed's there.
Yeah.
The thing up there. I'm thinking Buffalo Bills. Bethlehem Catholic. Excuse me.
Looking at the last handful of games, that would be impressive if they could take on the Buffalo Bills with pads or without pads, DeCarlo.
I'm not sure.
So look at the schedule that Allen has played. Some of the teams they played recently: Easton, Freedom, Malvern Prep, Reading. I mean, these are some outstanding teams, and I mean, it just battle tests you. Doug Snyder knows what he's doing, and he told you, and you commented on it before, he's not worried about what the halftime score is. He knows there's 16 minutes left to play. His guys are tough. They've been through the wars. They've been battle tested against good teams, and they expect to come out on the upper end here after 16 more minutes.
Yeah, and things, for the Deer of Huskies, they get Liberty and they get Lincoln Leadership, but this is the game they need to have. And right now you have the lead. If you're Joe Jarjuice and you're in that locker room right now, you're saying, we need to win this game. We need to be ready for this game because, it keeps us in the opportunity to get a berth in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what your guys want, right? So you have a difficult game coming up with Liberty, but you take the game that's at hand first, and that's this game right now against Allen. It's a rivalry, and your season's on the line if you lose. So, you're preaching to your guys, let's stick to the game plan. We can't feel too good about ourselves, even if we have a 6-point lead, because there's still 16 minutes to play. Stay the course, stick with what we've done that's gotten us to this point, and go make plays.
You're watching our D11Sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. We'll come back with the start of the third quarter. Right after this, 30-24 in favor of Deer. Back after this. We're back here getting ready to start the second half of play, and right now it is 30-24, and Joe Jarjuice came out of the locker room late, but Peter Capote talked to head coach Doug Snyder about his thoughts in the first half, and we go to Peter.
Coach Doug Snyder is not too pleased with his performance so far. Thinks that his team needs to do better with man-to-man and better at the rim. But for Deer, this is perfectly the start that they wanted on the Canaries, with an aggressive offense and defense. Back to you.
All right, Peter, great job, well done. As always, as we get ready, and we are in Husky land right now. We saw a Husky earlier try to take a bite out of Tommy Moser, but he decided not to get him. I don't know why. Anyway, all right, so 12 of 24 unofficially from the field for Deer. 2 for 5 from behind the arc, 4 for 7 from the free throw line. For Allen, 11 of 26, 1 for 8 from behind the arc, and free throws, 1 for 4.
Okay, so Deer starting the half with the ball. You heard Coach Snyder giving his thoughts to Peter. Not too pleased. Really difficult to tell because his expression doesn't change much. He's so cool, calm, and collected on the sideline, but you can be sure he got into his guys at the halftime locker room.
Peter or Doug?
Well, Peter might have got into the guys, but I know Doug did.
Feed down underneath. Gibbs thought about it. Now he reassessed inside the arc. Doesn't get it, but gets their own rebound and pop right to him. They slap that ball away and picked up here by the Canaries. Making his way down is Azuna. Azuna will go to the baseline. Here's a three. That one is up and down for Copeland.
That's the last thing you want to see if you're Coach Georgiou. So you're thinking, here we go. Get Allen rolling to start the half.
So Deerf led by 6. Allen led by 7. Right now is a 3-point lead. Well, they're just saying, take it if you want. But Devon Hayes can't connect on the 3. Gibbs takes that one away as they were going to Adderley. See how quick they get Adderley, try to get him involved. Boy, Deerf is playing. They are all over the basketball.
And it makes such a difference when your hands are active, whether you're playing man defense or zone defense. Their hands are active, making plays, making it difficult, and we're going to get a push-off here on Quentin Stewart called.
And that was a good call. That was a good call. You know, when you have the 3 officials, it's hard that you're not going to miss that one.
Right.
And that was right there.
There's a difference from sealing your man off to pushing him off, and Stewart pushed off.
Inside the lane, Adderley's got to just shy away. And the basket by Hayes. He's got 10.
Hayes is itching out to get a dunk in this game. He looks every time when he puts the ball on the floor like he wants to go up and rip the rim off. And he's athletic enough to finish.
Adderley. And right there for pickup duty was Stewart.
Stewart scores.
32-29. All right, so I asked you a question, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So the tempo and the pace in the second quarter was going your way, kind of, but there was a dry, spell there for Allen. Now you drive in there. Do you try to take a little time off the clock, or do you just keep playing right now if you're the Deerf Huskies? Or, they're running with them and it's working. They're leaving someone underneath. And this will stay Deerf basketball, but how would you play that second half?
Well, to answer your question, I think you trust your players and you let them play, and you've had some success running up and down the floor.
I agree.
With that 6-point lead, it might not be fair, but if that lead disappears and it's a tie game where you find yourself trailing, that's when you call timeout, and it's like, okay, now we need to change our style. We need to change our approach. Let's slow things down a little bit because it hasn't worked the way that we want to do it.
A good assessment. I totally agree with that. Deerf has definitely been playing very aggressively.
Fouls on Noah Copeland, his second.
Foul on Copeland.
That's going to earn 2 shots for Tavante Tucker.
2 shots.
That shot no good. Second one no good. Adderley. They're going to get Adderley, I believe, on the, elbow?
Yeah, a little clear out. Hyman saw it. He may have cleared out a little bit. I think he may have cleared out because someone was hanging on him. It wasn't malicious or intentional, but he did create a little space.
So there's 2 fouls on Adderley. Here's a 3. I tell you what, love watching the play of Taylor. He's got 4 3-pointers. And then the turnover. 35-29. So that one's on Hayes.
We got a little push off here. We're going to look at the replay of Taylor burying yet another 3. But Hayes tagged with that push off in the open floor.
35-29, 4:40 on the clock. And Adderley, he's got 6.
How about that explosiveness? He takes off from outside the 3-point line, 1 power dribble, and he just elevates and finishes.
That one off the mark. Last couple times down the floor for Deer, maybe not setting up the way they wanted to. They had that three, of course, off the inbound, but they had the foul and then that shot there.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch for Coach Georgiou's reaction to some of these shots to see what his thoughts are, and he's having a long leash here. We'll see if it shortens up as the Canaries start chipping away.
Now look at a foul in there. Is that Gibbs?
I think that will be the third on Gibbs.
Was on George Gibbs. That's his third. Team second.
Now, do you sit Gibbs for the rest of the quarter, or can you?
I don't think you can. You're significantly smaller when he is off the floor. We'll see if Allen can take advantage on the glass of the absence of Gibbs.
You go for the steal on Adderley, and Adderley goes in the lane, puts two more in.
Adderley's left-handed, Al, right? In his last two finishes, he has driven to the right with his right and finished one-handed with his right hand. Very impressive for a Quell Adderley.
.340 on the clock. That one towards the corner. So now we're seeing some time being off the clock by Coach Georgiou. And while he's doing that, the players, they want to keep on going.
Absolutely, you want to keep playing as a player. The last thing you want to do is stand here. Interesting chess match here. Let's see what happens. And Coach Snyder's going to say, let's go get some pressure on the ball, make them play.
Driving through, dishing underneath in the basket. Works to perfection. 12 points for Hayes. Nice dish.
The line, hey?
Adderley, just a man going through, but lost the handle. Allen gets the ball back. 37-33. They don't want to foul in that situation. A wide open look at a three. That one doesn't go, ball loose, and they'll still battle for it. Nice spin move. Allen still with the basketball and go to the free throw line, but they prevent the shot by Quentin Stewart.
Yeah, a little helter-skelter in there. We get a look at the last set. Nice pass by Taylor. That was almost like a North Carolina Dean Smith four corners offense there, and they come out and pressure you, go by, and you get an easy layup, but all set up by the dribble penetration.
(37-33). Both free throws missed. 2:23 on the clock. Here come the Huskies once again. They try to fight in the corner, extra step. Shuffle the feet.
You could even make that call, DeCarlo.
Yes.
Let's get you a whistle.
No, I have one right here. I'm going to use it right now. Oh, I better be careful. They may stop the game just because of that little whistle I had. I don't even know if they heard it.
They're going to ask to remove the fan with the whistle. You're out of here. Dave Micah subbing in.
Oh, boy. Actually, we should let Dave sub in. Adderley. You can't stop it. You can't stop it.
So,
and he's going right.
Or left. That time
left,
he went
yeah.
left. He went right before that. So not sure if that was one of Coach Snyder's adjustments or if Quell Adderley, as a senior, just decided, I'm going to take over. But he's putting his presence at the top of the high post area, and he's just attacking the rim with reckless abandon and scoring.
He's riding him there. Doesn't get caught with a foul. A three. That one does not go this time. Some contact. They'll let them play right here. Over to Copeland. Copeland will go in for the basket, and it's 37-37, just like that.
What a skilled finish by Mel Copeland. You can tell he's a high flyer. Takes off, readjusts in midair. As we get a look at the outlet pass, here's Copeland. One dribble, cuffs it, regathers, scoops, and scores. And Doug Snyder, the quick timeout following his make that ties the game up. We have a minute and a half to go in the third quarter. Let's see what Coach Snyder draws up.
So 1:24 on the clock. Allen 12-2, 16-4 overall. Deeroff at 4-10, 8 and 11, fighting for their lives to try to see if they can still keep a berth and try to get into district play. And right now, they are tied 37-37. Tell you what, this 124 is monstrous. I know you have another quarter, and I get all that. But the way the momentum is starting to swing a little bit, we want to see what happens here in this 124.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're Deer, if you've held the lead since the midway to late point of the second quarter, you do not want to go into the fourth quarter trailing. Allen will also start the fourth quarter with the ball, so you find yourself in a hole here shortly. You're going to start to look at the scoreboard and think, oh no.
There's some pressure by the Canaries. And last thing you want to do is start moving that elbow and pushing it forward. I don't like that.
We saw a few of those called here tonight, so absolutely.
Especially in a game like this. 1:06 on the clock. That one knocked away the defense. And Allen comes out of the pile with it. Lost the handle, but good job of getting it and regrouping. Allen had to sink a little bit, but they still score. Out of sync, but Stewart scores.
You said it perfectly, Al. Out of sync, out of rhythm, little ragtag right there, but they just have so much skill on the floor at all positions that they're not going to be denied.
That's a bunch of spin moves there for Taylor, who's got 5 in the quarter, 18 for the game.
That's a great move. You can see why that young man averages 14 and a half a game. Spin moves, threes.
Down to the final 25 seconds. Whistle on a foul. And they would get this one on Jeter.
Deer's fourth.
See what Snyder calls here with 12 seconds to go in a quarter.
Down to 10 on the baseline. That one's short. Ball loose. Rebound. And gets right over to Stewart for the basket. 41-39. Allen after 3. We've got a good one cooking from Deer High School. And we'll come back. We expect to be an exciting fourth quarter right after this. 41-39. You're watching our D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
Now take us into the huddle here as we come back as Coach Snyder wraps that one up 41-39. They took the lead after 3.
So if you're Coach Snyder, you're telling your guys, look, they've played really well so far, and you have the lead. No need to change our game plan. Our execution might need to improve slightly, but we're right where we want to be. You knew you weren't going to come in here and blow them out. This is their Super Bowl and their senior day. So you have the lead. You have the ball to start the fourth quarter. Let's just impose our will and take over because we're the better team.
So we start the fourth quarter. Allen with possession. And so far, I was going to say, the interior has worked for them. And that one knocked away. They'll call a foul, however. Now, let's take this all in, Tom. We're at Deer High School. These are rivals. I don't know if you know that, but I'm going to let you know. The 149th meeting between these two, as you take a look. Allen leads the all-time series 84-64. They've won 11 in a row. That all said, as this game stays tight like this, all of a sudden the crowd helps you out a little bit.
We do have a very good crowd here on Senior Day. It built throughout the girls' game and has reached not sold-out proportions, but a very good crowd, and they're loud and enthusiastic cheering on their Huskies. And as you said, last few minutes, if this is a 1-2 possession game, it's going to get loud, and it may impact what we see here. And
there was some verbiage going on afterwards. and there's a technical foul.
I think Coach Snyder's not going to be happy with this, and I'm going to tell you why, Al. Coach Georgiou bought this technical foul right here. I believe it was going to be a let go until Coach Georgiou got in the middle and told Mr. Peterson what he thought happened, and Mike Peterson went ahead and signaled the technical foul. As we get a look at the replay right here, Stewart stepped over the Deerfield player, and a little delayed reaction, and now Coach Snyder not happy.
Coach Snyder, I'm just going to say, it looks a little bit like Billy Martin out there, because he was, if there was dirt here, he was going to throw it on.
You could do a Lou Piniella and pick the base up and throw it.
Yeah. So Quinones hits the free throw. Again, 2 shots on the possession in a game like this. This first meeting was 40-40 at the half, 95-67 final. And right now, as we're in the fourth quarter, it's 41-41. And with that, that's also 3 fouls for Quentin Stewart.
So you rarely see Doug Snyder that upset. So his thought process there was had multiple thoughts behind it. 1, he was displeased with the call. But 2, he's trying to light a fire under his players.
Well, he just did here off the steal, flying on through.
And that technical foul might have been the worst thing that could have happened at Deerfield, as weird as that may sound to you. That may have been the worst thing that could have happened if you're a Deerfield fan.
Why is that?
Well, because it may not have been warranted, and it woke up the Allen Canaries.
That shot from way outside, that was almost from the bench.
It also might buy you a call or two if you're Allen and Doug Snyder, because
he's still riding them.
Yeah.
Now the 3 goes but won't count. There's a timeout called. Now things are starting to heat up here, Tom.
They are, and we like this. We like when a crowd gets into it, when it gets loud. Let's get a look at the last play, and Ellis gets his hand in there. That's a second clean steal and layup he's driven down for today.
The last win by Deerfield. You say Royal Lions told you 2013-14 season. But right now, I'll tell you what, 43-41. This has the making of a fantastic finish. That all said, you got 7 minutes on the clock, and anything is possible.
Anything is possible, you're right, and the crowd is getting into it. The pep band's getting into it. We're here at Dick Schmidt Gymnasium. I have to mention Linda Rep, Cruttenden Court. Al, do you know Linda Rep? At the time, Linda Rep, she won 2 state titles here as a coach for the Deerfield girls program. I don't know, other than Mike Kopp, if we have any multiple state champion winners of basketball in our area. Can you think of any? As Coach Snyder continues to ride the officiating. Can you think of any? Now, this was back in the 70s. Linda Rep, a family friend. Now Linda Cruttenden graduated here from Deerfield High School with my mother, and I got to talk to her in between games.
Wow.
Look at Adderley.
Wow is all I could say about Adderley right there. It's 45-41.
So these Canary players know Doug Snyder well enough during that timeout to know that he's furious. He has their back as players, and that woke them up, as I mentioned a minute ago.
Things changing here quickly. Crowd getting a little more into it. This is where we're starting to see, again, Deerfield is fighting for their lives, trying to get into the postseason. And Joe Georgiou is doing everything to have them believe that they can win this game, and he put them in position right now to win this game. But you mentioned Coach Doug Snyder, as we're looking off camera, he's still not happy. And he won't be, even afterwards.
Right.
Win or lose.
Nice job by Taylor knocking the first free throw in. So Coach Snyder's coached enough games and seen enough bad calls. He understands that bad calls are going to happen over the course of a game. I think he thought that one was not justified in the fact that it was bought by the opposing coach. When I say bought, I mean bargained for. Let's just call it.
So Taylor has 20 to go along with 4 3-pointers. If you're watching us and just joining us, D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Al DiCarlo alongside Tommy Moser. Dave Micah, Peter Capote is our sideline reporter from Allen High School. And when anyone watching right now that's a student within District 11 wants to jump on board and be part of our D11 Sports student program, we're up to 40 students from 19 schools, and we're excited to have you. To see your athletic director, they'll get you in touch with Dave and myself, and we'll get you on board that you can start covering your peers and get involved.
How could you not want to get involved with this and get the word out and get yourself some experience if it's what you want to do as a career in the future?
45-43, Allen up by 2. And again, Allen fighting in that steel division, with Liberty, So, this is a big game for them.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Liberty knocked them off in overtime the other night by a point, I believe it was. And so looking for seeding purposes down the road in the playoffs.
Fighting through, down underneath, and foul on Gibbs.
What a great set out of the timeout by Coach Doug Snyder. That's going to be 4, I believe, on Gibbs. But a great call by Snyder out of the timeout. Gets an open look for Stewart. Georgiou not moving from the bench and leaving Gibbs in there with 4.
Stewart now has 14. So 15 for Stewart, 47-43. Driving through the lane. Oh, Stewart gets up.
Not in my house, said Quentin Stewart. And they're starting to get a little jawing out there, Al.
2 minutes into the fourth quarter. Man, almost throws the one away, and they will.
Here we get a look at the replay. Hayes on a drive.
Oh.
Get that out of here. Looks like me in the driveway against DeCarlo.
I don't think that would ever happen. Good anticipation there by Jeter.
Now he's going to get Gibbs out here on defense.
Dalvin Cattouse, the junior forward, checks in. Get into Adderley. Adderley had a fine third quarter. Thinking about, wow. I'll tell you what, that was a great play by Ellis.
And that's twice now that, so if you're Nate Ellis that everybody understands that you're a shooter. So when you catch it, they're closing out on you, and he's waiting for them to fly by him. What an outstanding athletic play by Isaiah Taylor. But Ellis just the poise and presence of mind to set his feet and let the defender fly by.
That's twice. How about Ellis? All of a sudden, just like that, he's got 8 in the quarter. Watch him.
Here's the athletic rebound in there, just ripping it away by Taylor. But Al, you're talking about a young man in Nate Ellis who at 5'9" and a sophomore in one of the best leagues in Eastern Pennsylvania is averaging 17 points a game. And that's on a team with 2 big men inside who can also get you double figures any time out. So that tells you right there how special this kid is.
Oh, you're right. Adderley scores 14. Stewart's at almost 10. Copeland's at 10 and a half. And Ellis is at 17 as that sophomore. Right now, this becomes the biggest lead of the game. So after one quarter, Allen led 18-11. Deerf led 30-26 at the half. Allen came back, battled it, tied the game at 37 apiece, took the lead 41-39 after 3. A technical would start this fourth quarter, and then things have changed since that technical. Technical was against Allen, but Allen's a team that just persevered, and you called it. They really jump-started them. And right now they lead by the biggest lead of the game, 53-45, up by 8.
Yeah, so they were sitting on 39 at the end of the third quarter, so they have 14 points in the first 3 minutes of this fourth quarter. They can just go on runs and spurts anytime they, not anytime they want, but it's going to happen. They're just too explosive and talented.
And the first 4 minutes or 4.5 minutes of the second quarter, Allen did not score a basket.
Right.
53-45, back to action. Number 1 has been lethal all night, but that, I say, throws it into a bunch of blue, and it leads to a Now I'm going to say an easy basket on the other side. They don't get it. So both teams really reassess here and regroup again if you're Deerhoff.
Yeah, they dodged a bullet right there. That would have pushed them up into a double-figure deficit, and as a result, we're going to shoot 1-and-1 here.
Fouls on Mel Copeland. That's his fourth.
So Copeland has 4. And to the free throw line is Isaiah Jeter. Jeter averages
Isaiah Jeter on the line.
10 points a game. He's got 3 tonight.
Now that may come into play here with Copeland having 4. Do not want him picking up his 5th. You're going to need him down the stretch for ball handling and free throw purposes. And Georgiou's going offense-defense here, nursing Gibbs and his 4 fouls. Good move.
53-47. Some pressure here by Deerhoff. They quickly off the pressure, and they egged him on there, and Taylor comes up with it. Wow.
And
Taylor just skying high.
And that's because that was Copeland in the paint as a defender. With 4 fouls, he can't go near him. He had to let Taylor glide in for the deuce. And you mentioned a minute ago, partner, Allen had a peeper at the rim that would have put him up 10. They missed it, and now we're sitting at a 4-point game, and anything, we're right back at it. Here we go. A rare turnover. Great job right there by Isaiah Taylor. And here's Copeland. He has 4. He can't foul, so Taylor just glides in for the deuce.
Adderley was begging for the basketball. He was wide open, but Taylor knew kind of where he was in position. I hope you're enjoying our coverage. D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. I want to thank the Sports Fan Base Network for making this possible. Their staff doing a great job once again. Josh Bellman and Aria Bluestein. Dave Micah, my partner in crime. But he's got no crime, but his partner in crime. And, you look at what we've seen here tonight. One of those games that, your opportunity to see this anywhere, anytime, just go to YouTube. You can watch it over and over again. And that's what we love, giving the opportunity for, players that played here or alum from each school to have the opportunity to take this in from wherever they live across the country or the world.
Yeah, it's really incredible for these players to know, for Deerhoff or Allen, that 5 years down the road, they'll be able to go to YouTube and watch the entire game, and they're going to remember some of these things and not remember some of those things, and they'll be talking about them with some of their friends and rivalry.
So the offensive foul on Adderley. And is that 3 or 4 in Adderley? 3rd. Okay.
3.
The concern was for Coach Snyder right off the bat. Looked over at his bench, said, how many is that?
Yeah, right. He knows he needs Q on the floor as his team leader. It's not a shooting foul, but it's going to add one more team foul onto the board.
From the corner. Yes! 3 more for Taylor. Wow. 5 threes. It's a 1-point game. That one's short.
I got to tell you, Al, this Isaiah Taylor looks like a scholarship level player.
Oh! The Huskies have regained the lead.
What a performance by Taylor.
Q Adderley with the basketball. 3:32 on the clock. Adderley just getting position and scoring.
You can't stop that. Look at the bulk and the size of Adderley. He has taken that move many times, and that's just unstoppable.
Now, right now, he is in rhythm. He is just skying high. 13 points in the quarter alone. 56-55, whistle and a foul.
I think what Taylor needs to do, Al, is get a copy of this on D11sports.com or YouTube and send it out to some college coaches, because he is absolutely torching the Nets right now. Here's a look at his last 3. He likes that corner spot. He's had at least 3 from the corner, if not 4. And as you mentioned, the crowd is now getting into it.
56-56. As they shake, our cameras shake. Tom Moser shakes, and Allen back on top.
Number 5, Josh Carrion, in for William Allen.
Well, last night we saw Barnes score 43. Right now, Taylor is sitting at 31.
Wow. I'm going to go out on a limb and call that a career high for Mr. Taylor.
Don't know that, but you can. And the tip back is good by Kionis.
We're on a seesaw here. This is great action in the fourth quarter.
Deerf back up by 1. Again, Deerf 8 and 11. They need to win out to qualify for districts. Allen battling still with Liberty for the Steel Division. Thought about it. Now changing. Good aggressive defense here by the Huskies.
Well defensed.
2:20 on the clock. Splitting through the defense and scoring. And one. What a basket by Nathan Ellis. Outside first earlier and now inside.
That young man's a sophomore?
Wow.
That's just remarkable as he was being defended and hounded out front by Quinones. And he, as you get a look at it here, watch this. He goes by. There's help coming over. The help late coming over, but absorbing the bump and the three-point opportunity that he converts.
11 in the quarter, 18 for the game for Ellis. Allen up 2. Outside they go again. There's the 3. Doesn't drop. Ball loose. They get it right back, do they? No, Allen with the basketball and exactly 2 minutes on the clock and a 2-point lead.
Taylor almost got his hand in there and kept that one alive. And let's see what Coach Snyder calls here.
Adderley with the basketball with a $1:50 on the clock. Almost slipping and going down was Ellis. Ellis now goes baseline. No. And they juggle it. Whose is it? It is Allen basketball with 1:41 on the clock. You could see why Ellis, Copeland, Stewart, and Adderley are sitting at double digits during the season. They all are utilized game in and game out.
Yeah, that's a luxury that you have as a coach, that you can go to any of those guys if one of them's having an off night or really an off quarter, because as you mentioned, Adderley was quiet in the first half. It dominated the third quarter. Ellis was quiet through 3 quarters, and he's been the man here in the fourth quarter. Copeland's been consistent all game. They've gotten contributions from Ozuna and Stewart also. So really, if you're Coach Snyder right now, it's pick your poison. Like what he's going to do is look at a matchup that he thinks he can exploit with one of his studs and go to that person.
Well, I mean, if you're Coach Doug Snyder and you put 4 players in double figures and that's what you average, you're going to win a lot of basketball games, and that's why they're 16-4.
I think we could put you on the bench with that clipboard and they'd be 16-4. Maybe we'll give them 15-5. But
yeah, all right. 3-13 if I'm there. 60-58. Another game. They are battling here. Up by 2. Off the baseline. That one well off the mark, but underneath for mop-up duty is Stewart.
Stewart scores.
62-58.
Now you're going to need a good possession if you're the Huskies right here.
1:18 on the clock. And then, going to the free throw line is Isaiah Taylor.
Well, I think that's a call that in the first quarter or first half may not have been made, but I think Taylor's earned that one over the course of his play tonight, and that is 4 on Adderley.
Did you ever score 13 in a quarter?
Score 13 in a game? Is that what you meant to ask? Maybe in 5th and 6th grade, I believe.
This is a free throw. Those are key. Well, you were like 6'5" in 5th grade.
I peaked. I had college scouts on my radar in 6th grade, and then they fell off when I didn't grow anymore.
And didn't score anymore.
It didn't score.
So on the free throw line with 31 points is Taylor. Make it 32. 62-59.
Interesting to see what Allen does here.
Well, the next foul by Deerf will put him at 1-1. Double bonus for Deeroff.
You can't foul Ellis, though. He shoots 85% from the line, and times are running away here if you're Coach Georgiou. You got to get it out of Ellis's hands and foul somebody else.
Ooh.
A good hard foul.
I would say. So they will indeed put Ellis. Ellis with 11 in the quarter and 18 for the game.
Okay, Ellis on the line, 1 and 1.
So Ellis, you mentioned, over 80% from the free throw line and connects.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. You need to get the ball out of that young man's hands and make somebody else beat you, especially on these 1-and-1s. They're such pressure-packed free throws, but Ellis doesn't seem to mind the pressure even as a sophomore.
Not at all. 19 for Ellis. 64-59. Not the shot you wanted to take right there. And now, if you're Deeroff, you're going to have to try to either trap him or foul. A lot of times going through, and they finally get a whistle and a foul, and look who's going back to the free throw line.
Well, just a great job by Ellis, knowing that unless he really got in trouble, he didn't want to give the ball up right there. And that's something that, you know, if you're a Deeroff player, you have to know you can't foul Ellis. You have to get the ball out of his hands. Even if it's worth an extra 5 seconds to not foul him and make somebody else beat you. He knocks these two in. It's now a 3-possession game.
Ellis misses the free throw. Still life here for the Huskies with 25 seconds left. They give it right back. Wow, the speed. They'll call an offensive foul running through the lane on Isaiah Taylor, but you said it, flying. He is flying.
That was a give and go, and a great job by Hayes giving it back to Taylor. Bang, bang call right there. Peterson went with the charge. Not a ton of protesting from the Deeroff bench. And that is going to put Deeroff in dire straits right now.
They go for the steal, and I don't know what the call was. I wasn't sure if there was a timeout called or not. So we'll walk the floor here.
Team 10.
No, this is the two here that can put it, 18 seconds. Hey, listen, I saw a game back in the day, down 9 with 10 seconds at Muhlenberg, and the game was won. That was back in 1986 range.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. Can't remember the guy's name either.
Well, this will be very difficult to overcome if Ozuna knocks this second one in.
Does not. And the outlet. You'll go in for the 2.
We may get another second added to the clock here as it ran off a little longer than referee John Hymans would have liked.
Timeout. Huskies.
So they're going to change the clock. I think 12.5 is what I heard.
Not a minute 23, as it said. Okay.
All right. 12.3.
Well, now you've reached that spot where you no longer have time to waste and select who you're going to put on the foul line. If you can't get an immediate steal off the inbounds, you need to foul right away. Doesn't matter who it is, even if it's Ellis. Maybe you'll come out with some face guarding pressure. I would always go face guarding here. It makes it a little more difficult to get it in bounds. Maybe you can cause a turnover if you face guard the opponent. Doug Snyder has a timeout left. If they get in trouble, I'm sure he's instructing his team of that right now.
So 12.3 seconds left, 65-61. Hope you're enjoying all our coverage here of our D11sports.com Game of the Week presented by St. Luke Sports Medicine. Boy, what a finish. They'll walk the floor here one more time.
Danny Quinones.
Jonas and Adderley.
Well, they were just asking if they were going to go have some dogs at Yakko's or go meet down at Cedar Beach for some pickup tomorrow on the off day.
Is that what they were doing?
Well, I'd say exchanging pleasantries, but Quinones has competed very hard today, and probably going to come out on a short end, although Adderley misses.
(65-61), and Adderley makes one of two.
So the Huskies down 5, need a 2 and a 3. You take either one you can get here. If you get an open 3, you let it fly. If you can get to the rim quickly for a 2, you take that also, because you need 2 possessions.
Almost a carry. And here's the 3. That one well off the mark, and that will end this one. The chance was there for the Huskies, but they couldn't convert.
Ladies and gentlemen, the athletes and coaches.
66-61. Your final score in this one is Allen wins it. We'll come back right after this. Our D11sports.com game of the week presented by St. Luke's Sports Medicine. Back after this.
Are you searching for a place where you belong? Where your fitness matters? Regardless of what shape you're in, St. Luke's Fitness and Sports Performance Centers have a professional team that will help you meet or exceed your fitness goals. With locations throughout the region and nationally recognized fitness experts, you'll become a member of a supportive fitness community. We call it Extraordinary Fitness. Visit us online to start your free 7-day membership and let us help you thrive.
We are back. 66-61 is your final score as Allen wins this one. And I tell you what, quite a game without question that we saw here today, Tom.
Well, Deerhoff made Allen earn this victory, and it's a shame that Deerhoff will not make the postseason because they were spirited and energized today. Just came out on the short end of the stick, but they have nothing to hang their heads about. And what a great effort by the Huskies today.
Yeah, no doubt. 20 points for Ellis. Copeland with 11. 2 points for Ozuna, 17 for Stewart. Adderley finishes with 15. Isaiah Taylor in the loss with 32 on 5 3-pointers. We'll get back to him in a second. 14 points for Devon Hayes. Jeter with 4, 7 for Quinones, and Gibbs with 4. Let's talk about Isaiah Taylor and what he did today.
Well, just very impressed with Taylor. You could see from the start he was ready to go, flying up and down the floor, as you commented right at the end there. But holy cow, he knocked 5 threes down, and the young man only had 10 made threes on the season before tonight's game, as we're going to get a look at some highlights right here of Nate Ellis for Allen. But Taylor, 5 threes, did it in other ways too. Some of his finishes in the paint in traffic were very impressive, and you can see, as I said earlier, why he averages 14 and a half a game.
Yeah, then you're watching, what we saw, and, moving down, Copeland and some highlights here, coming through. But, while Joe Jarjuice is not going to be, happy with not going to be qualifying for district play, now falling to 8 and 12, his team had heart. His team played to the finish.
Yeah, if this can set a precedence for what your program is going to be like in the next couple years, then you're happy for Coach Jarjuice. You do lose a couple of those seniors, including Taylor, who scored 32 today, and Mr. Hayes also inside. Number 5 is a senior. Those two were very instrumental in keeping this game close for Deerhoff. But, you can't have a drop-off because you lose some senior contributors. You need the program to take steps up, and that comes from all levels, junior high, freshman, JV, and that's what Coach Jarjuice is hoping for.
Yeah, no doubt about it. With that win for Allen now, they improved to 13-2, but 17-4 overall. They put themselves in the position as they battle, with Liberty here after getting that loss. So, I think we saw we go back to what you said. That technical foul really ignited the team a little bit, when it was against Allen.
It did, and as a coach, you're never going to turn down a technical foul. And I mean, you get 2 shots and the ball. But I think if he goes back and watches the tape, Coach Jarjuice might think, my goodness, look at this got Allen going, and it built Allen up to an 8-point lead. Now Deeroff did cut back into it then, but that 2-minute surge right after the technical, which may not have been warranted, was a crucial moment of this fourth quarter.
So it was 18-11. Allen after one, 30-24. Deeroff, as we wait for Doug Snyder, and we'll talk to him, and as he makes his way out into the floor in a couple minutes here, wanted to go in there in a game like this when you have that magnitude and you have that the opportunity to win. You want to go in there and talk to your team and really give it to them and saying, listen, you guys fell behind and you guys battled back, and he's obviously elated with the way they finished.
Well, there's lessons to learn in every game, win or loss, and just because you won doesn't mean you played great, just like it doesn't mean you played poorly if you lost. So what you take out of the message as a team, the message that your coach gives you, is really going to tell you what kind of team you're going to be moving forward. And
Allen was up 41-39 was the score at the end of 3, and then went back and forth there as the Huskies battled back and ended up getting the game at the same time. And right now, Peter Capote is down on the sideline with our player of the game. Go ahead, Peter.
I'm here with the District 11 player of the game, Nate Ellis. Thoughts on the game?
He didn't start off pretty well. We had to come together as a team in the second half. Deeroff improved from last time we faced them, so they gave us a run for our money today.
What were your thoughts when you made those clutch shots in the fourth?
Just keep shooting, man. That's all I thought. I wanted the ball. I wanted those moments, and, I delivered.
Thank you so much.
All right, Peter, thanks. Great job there, and a great job by Ellis. We mentioned, 20 points. He had those 3 3-pointers. But when you score the majority of your points, 18 of your points in the fourth quarter, kind of the same way as Isaiah Taylor did, scoring a bunch in the fourth quarter. You got it done, and they persevered right there at the end.
Well, the thing was, Deeroff was making shots and plays on the other end to creep back in the game, and Ellis just every time put his foot down as a leader does and said, this is not happening today. I'm making big shot after big shot, and that's what the end result was.
Your thoughts of Allen moving forward?
Well, I'm just very impressed with him. The only weakness I see, and it's not a weakness, but the only weakness is they don't go very deep. So if one of his guys gets in foul trouble, we'll get back to that in a minute.
All right, with that, we go down to Peter Capote. He's got winning head coach Doug Snyder. Peter?
I'm here with Doug Snyder, coach of the Allen Canaries. Thoughts on the game?
Well, obviously, when you come across to the east side and play Deeroff High School, it's always a war and it's always a battle. The lead got exchanged many times. I don't know how many, but we jumped out to lead, and they took a lead and went back and forth. So this is typical for an Allen Deeroff inter-city squad game.
What was your thoughts and things to your players when in that fourth when it was going back and forth?
Well, we were trying to get the ball into Quentin Stewart and Q Adderley. That was our whole goal. We were trying to get a high-low action so you get some touches. We thought maybe we could get some layups off the high-low set, and that's what our whole goal was. And then right near the end, we tried to pull the ball up because we got some guards that can shoot fouls pretty well.
Thoughts on your last game with Becker?
Well, obviously, it's the last regular season game for our 3 seniors, Q Adderley, Quentin Stewart, and Isaiah Vigo. But hopefully, that'll be a springboard to get going in the playoffs, whether it's league or district.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it, Peter.
All right, Peter, great job down on the court. Talking to Doug Snyder as he gets ready for the play again. 20 points for Ellis. He was our D11sports.com player of the game. Isaiah Taylor in a loss was, did a great job with 32 points and 5 3-pointers. Peter, again, doing a great job. Your final thoughts?
Well, again, I'm really looking forward to watching Allen play in the postseason here. I think they have as good a shot as anybody to win either or both the EPC tournament and the District 11 tournament and be a factor in the state tournament. It's wide open 6A all the way throughout. They have the horses and the coaching staff to get it done.
That'll do it for this afternoon. Allen girls and the Allen boys get the sweep this afternoon. Final score in this one, 66-61 for Tommy Moser, for Dave Micah, for Peter Capote, and everyone here at D11sports.com. Al DeCarlo saying so long. Allen a winner, 66-61. Have a great